is called to order at January 17th, 2019 at 3:30 p.m. Mr. Clerk, could we have roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Dominic. President Johnson.
Present.
Jackson. Glenn.
Present.
Bowman.
Present.
Cawthorn. Gage Watts.
Present.
Middleton. Atkins.
Here.
Chavez.
Here, sir.
Smith. Lewis Johnson.
President.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. We will have our invocation by Commissioner Parliamentarian Gerald Bowman, and we will have our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Matthew Lynn. Please stand.
All right, everyone, please bow your heads. Oh, gracious Father, we come now with just bowed heads, Lord, and humble hearts. Lord, just truly, not only thank you for this day, Lord, but I ask for forgiveness of all our sins, God. Father God, I ask you just continue to guide each and one of us, the commissioners, Lord, help us to make sound decisions and the things that are better for their citizens, Lord. Father God, I ask right now that you just give us, right now, we take a moment of silence, Lord, for not only the fallen officer, Lord, but also, Lord, we take a moment of silence, Lord, for Commissioner John Atkins' mother, Father God. Let him know that he is loved and his family is protected, Lord. We ask you just dispatch your angels around him, Lord, and his family, Lord. Give him peace, Lord, the peace that surpasses all understanding that only you can give him, Father God. Yes. God, I ask right now that you continue to strengthen him, strengthen us, God. Lord, bless our nation. Father God, just bless our president right now. Guide him and his administration, Lord. Let no harm, hurt, danger come his way, but also, Lord, bless the people, Lord, who may be affected by all the decisions that we make in government, Father God. Yes. Bless the federal workers, Lord, those who are in furlough, Lord, who may not even know where their meal and anything will come from and have to make adjustments, Father God. Yes. Just bless all of us, Lord. Let there be peace amongst the land, Lord, yes, and help us in all our disagreements. Yes. Let us not have acrimony, but to understand that there is life, and human life is more important than any political, any race, and anything else, because we're one race, and that's the human race, Father God. Amen. And Lord, right now, I just you continue to bless us and touch us, and we entrust these and other sons in your Son, Jesus' name, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Everyone, please face our flag and say the Pledge of Allegiance along with me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you, Commissioner Bowman, and thank you, Commissioner Lynn. Do we have any agenda additions, Mr. Clerk?
I have none.
I have none either. Citizens' comments? Citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning, please fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and return to the president or the clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes. Citizens who wish to address the commission on matters relative to public hearings, items listed on the agenda only will be limited to a cumulative total of 15 minutes each, for or against an issue. Those who wish to speak or make a presentation are asked to select their speakers and address the points they wish considered with limitations in mind. I have Mr. Calvin Austin. Good afternoon, Mr. Austin.
Good afternoon. My name is H. Calvin Austin III. My residence is 3546 Pleasant Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71109. To Mr. Wilson, to President Gage and members of the commission, I have been confronted with a position that is being available on the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals, and I solicit, if I am to be your representative, to be a voice of the people of Caddo. And I feel that being on that board has to be about fairness, impartiality, and with a deep sense of commitment. And I look forward to being a servant for the citizens of Caddo, as I've been trying to do all of my life. And if I do get your vote, I want to thank you for the vote of confidence. And finally, I want to thank, where's Mr. Weaver? I think he's in the room, but Mr. Weaver and his staff, I reached out to his department for some help down in the Ellerby Road area, and they rendered a great service, and I just want the commission to know that Mr. Weaver is doing a great job.
All right.
He's back there
There he
talking.
is.
there in the doorway.
His head won't fit through the door right now.
Shall I repeat it again for the record? Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. Thank you for coming. The next one we have is Mr. Kelly Wells. Miss Amber Bishop is also coming up with you?
Yes.
All right.
Isn't he gonna speak on the ordinance, when he speak during the ordinance?
Are you speaking about the ordinance, or are you here for another reason?
For the boxing event.
Okay. Would you like to speak up under, you can speak at that time. If you're in favor of it, you can speak at that time, or did you want to speak now?
Whatever.
That would let us communicate with him.
Yes, it will do better under the ordinance.
Now?
Ordinance,
Ordinance.
at the ordinance time.
Public
You can
hearing.
come
Public
in and
hearing,
speak at that time. Okay, I'll hold the card. I have no other cards, Commissioner, I'm sorry, Mr. Clerk, would you pass that down?
Okay, next we move to visitors. We have no visitors. We have no special resolutions. This time we need to adopt the session minutes from
So
January.
move for adoption.
All right, I heard that that has been moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson, and that was second,
Either one of the judges.
Louis Johnson.
That Johnson.
Okay. Please vote.
Ms. Gage Watts.
And that passes 12-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to communication committee reports, administration response to information requests from commissioners.
Okay. I have Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, Dr. Wilson. I want to thank Travis and, am I saying it right? This is my first time calling, and Kelvin for responding to that complaint earlier. If we could just continue to monitor that, I would appreciate it. I also want to recognize, he just walked in and I was a little late getting here, so I may have missed, I don't know who did the invocation. Okay, but I saw Pastor Oliver, newly installed pastor at Mount Canaan Baptist Church over in Allendale, the mighty District 3. But I think he's a resident over there in District 12 out in Greenwood somewhere. But just wanted to welcome him down. This may be his first commission meeting, but wanted to welcome him down and would encourage my colleagues to be on our best behavior in front of him. But did want to welcome him down to the commission meeting. So that's it for me, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Welcome, Reverend Oliver. Thank you for your presence on today. Next speaker, Commissioner Dominic.
Just a couple things. If you heard Commissioner Bowman's prayer, in case you didn't realize it, Commissioner Atkins' mother recently passed away. So you're in our prayers and thoughts for the whole horseshoe at this time, John. Appreciate all you do, and just realize that we're thinking about you, okay? Second thing, I did mention this on Monday that, and I wanted to do it again today. Joe Lawler passed away. He was a longtime member of the Caddo Parish Police Juror system, and went to the visitation. Wanted to thank commissioners. Commissioner Mike Middleton went there. I don't know anybody else, but I know Tim Weaver, Jimmy Whittington, Todd. I don't know. Those are the ones I saw and knew that was there at the visitation. Appreciate all your support. Commissioner Middleton, appreciate you coming up to our district and showing your support for Mr. Lawler. Just our thoughts and our prayers go out to Ken, David, Danny, and all their family at this time. Mr. Lawler was instrumental for years for doing some wonderful things for the parish, including the Walter B. Jacobs Park, the Richard Fleming Park in our area. Together was always just supporting the parish commission or the police jury at that time. And it's been even after that, serving on the 911 district and board, he was always a leader of our community. So just wanted to mention him and ask for y'all to keep him and his family in y'all's prayers at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Dominic.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Next speaker, Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. Dr. Wilson, I know we were going to have
Director Clark come up and speak about that one topic with CPAWS. Would you like him to do it now or underneath your administration comments?
Well, we could do it on the admin report.
Okay.
Just to kind of bring you up to speed on that.
Yes, sir. Okay. Then I'll yield, President, and give it back to you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. Just remind everyone that on February the 4th, we'll have the Long Range Planning Commission meeting at 2 o'clock. And discussion will be the UDC amendments to try to hash those out. 2 o'clock in the conference room.
I'm sorry.
UDC.
Oh, UDC. Thank you.
UDC amendments that Mr. Clark talked about at our work session. We'll get a chance to look at those, try to hash some of those out so that we can either keep it moving or reject them, so we won't just be the hold up on everything.
Could you tell me that day and time again, please?
February the 4th, 2 o'clock.
Thanks.
That's it, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. See no other speakers? Next item, Mr. Clark.
I think we still have the
Administration.
administrative portion. Yeah. President Gates?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Wilson.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
We have a guest today, Mr. Anda Cole, and she is here to read a poem. And Ms. Cole, would you like to come forward and read your poem, please, ma'am? This is dedicated to our fallen officer recently. So.
Madam President and all of the commissioners, thank you for having me here and letting me pay honor along with you to a great hero in our city we have lost. In loving memory of Shreveport Police Officer Shatari Payne. There was a great officer, such a pleasure to know. She was so strong, compassionate, and caring, with a heart of gold. God made her so special, and you can truly believe she was as close to an angel as anyone could be. She was loved by so many, as everyone can see. She was a hero and a beloved officer, such a blessing for her family, the Shreveport Police Department, just all who knew her indeed. She is now in the arms of Jesus and has her own wings. She is smiling down from heaven with her halo glowing like a queen. Shatari is so very happy and wants us all to be strong, for she is now in God's kingdom and will never again be harmed, suffer, or ever be alone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. LaCole, thank you so much for sharing that poem with all of us and for the public to hear it. We really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cole. Appreciate it, ma'am. Okay, Commissioner, there's a little ambiguity that existed concerning one of our animal services policies. So I'd like Mr. Clark to come forward to clarify the facts, because, you know, we like to deal with the facts.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
How y'all doing today?
Good.
All right. Guess I'm here to answer questions about a rumor that all heartworm positive dogs would be humanely euthanized 7 days after their stray hold or their legal hold duration completed. That is not the case. However, the legal hold dates are 4 days, 7 days, 10 days, and 15 days. If we're holding animals 2 months, 3 months, Past that date, and it's a heartworm positive dog, fact of the matter is, larger heartworm positive dogs are harder to place. So if we're holding heartworm positive dogs for extended amounts of time, that's occupying the kennel space, other animals aren't granted the same opportunity for the visibility. Now what happens is, when posts are made in hopes of raising awareness for certain dogs, people latch on to that one dog. And that's great, because they try their best to find a rescue for it, or, get someone to adopt that animal. However, that's the one versus the other 263 odd dogs that I have at the shelter. So we're trying to ensure that we're networking heartworm positive dogs as soon as we know they're heartworm positive, to see if we can generate interest within the first week, the second week. So we're not keeping them for extended amounts of time. I was having a conversation at the shelter. We had a dog named Kelly that was there for 6 months. She was heartworm positive. She finally got out. She got heartworm treatment. She got transported up north. That's awesome. But there's one dog in the cage for 6 months. How many other animals could have cycled through that cage had they only sat in there 15 days, 20 days? So you have to think about the whole shelter versus the few animals. So I'm guessing that's why I'm here.
Also, I would like to add a comment. In previous inspections we've gotten written up for not complying with our own ordinance. So the length of stay is, like Travis said, is spelled out in the ordinance. And in the past, we've got written up for going beyond that, because we thought we would try to work with rescues or whatever it take to rescue an animal, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. So we have 102 pit bulls at the shelter.
No.
Roughly?
At any given day,
Right.
when you count, if you go on our website right now, if you want to log on your phone right now and look at dogs for adoption,
Right.
you'll probably see close to 40 pit bull type dogs. I counted 38 black dogs earlier today. The 102 is from a scenario that I was telling you about.
Right.
At one point in the summertime, I went through the shelter and counted 102 pit bull type dogs. Unfortunately, with the stigma surrounding pit bulls, some families don't feel that they should adopt adult pit bulls. I understand.
Yes.
You have kids, you don't know the history of this dog, you don't know what triggers this dog, so sometimes those dogs get looked over. I'm not saying that they're not worthy of being there longer. However, when you have 4 and 5 dogs per kennel, some of them don't show well because your population is too high. So we need to work on decreasing the length of stay. Now, I'm well aware of the humane euthanasia rate. We've been working very hard to bring that down. I would not do anything to increase it by any means, but we have to look at the overall care of the animals in our facility. And extended lengths of stay, is not something that we can do at this current time and try to keep all of the animals healthy. Because when you have too many animals in a kennel, they're using the restroom in the kennel. You can keep the kennel clean all day, but when you leave at 6 o'clock, no one's there till 6 o'clock in the morning. So they're releasing themselves, they're walking through it, they licking their feet, now they got worms and they sick again, you gotta retreat them. We have to keep the population to where we can keep the animals healthy.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's no policy change in euthanasia.
Okay. Thank you, Director Clark, for the update and also about the information on the cycle that it is. We have a few commissioners that are on the board who would like to speak. First, we have Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
I'll be very brief. Was that the adoption deal that was at Pier Bossier Mall during the Christmas holiday? Was that Caddo?
Did we have an off-site adoption event?
Right. Was that Caddo?
We had an off-site adoption event in Pierre Bossier. I can't give you the exact dates.
No, that's fine. I thought it was great. I don't know what the numbers were like after it was over with.
Yes, sir.
But I assume that's one of the steps that we're making to adopt animals out, pets
Yes, sir.
out,
Yes,
and
sir.
making sure that we don't have to euthanize them.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what the success rate of that was, but when I went by, as I sent the pictures to you, Dr. Wilson, it was a crowd of folks there.
Yes, sir.
And I can speak to, I know that was one of our goals, was to make sure we had more off-site adoptions.
Yes, sir.
So I would just say keep up what you're doing, and I hope that those same folks who paraded down here when you were nominated for this position to support you are doing everything that they can to support what they said they would do.
Yes, sir.
And so I see email traffic going back and forth, but I like when I show up somewhere and I see Caddo Parish Animal Services out and about adopting animals out. Like they were at a couple of national night outs that I went to. So I know that you're doing all that you can.
Yes, sir.
And I don't think we should let perfect be the enemy of good.
Yes, sir.
Or be the enemy of better.
Yes, sir.
And so I would encourage you to continue to do what you're doing. I think you knew what you was coming into,
Yes,
and
sir.
just, you know, weather whatever that is and stay positive about
Yes,
it.
sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
City Commissioner.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner President, Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. Director Clark, thanks for coming down here. I know how to address this to Dr. Wilson because a lot of people tagged me in a Facebook post and sent me emails and messages, and they were under the impression that the new ordinance or that something had changed in a policy as recent as 2 weeks ago that after 7 days, any heartworm positive dog would be euthanized. And of course, I reached out and you guys said that no, that is incorrect. So thanks for coming down here. I know the best way to combat false information is with correct information.
Yes, sir.
So thanks for coming down here and clearing that up.
Yes, sir. No problem.
Thank you, Travis. That's all, President.
Thanks, Vice President Chavez. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Yes. In the past, Caddo Parish Animal Services sent me a monthly Asilomar report.
A
and
Asilomar
I-
report?
Yes, sir. And I have not received it in the last several months, except for when I ask for it. Is it possible for me to get put back on the regular receiving list of
You
that
talking?
report?
You talking about that handwritten report with the X's and the O's? And
it's-
it's all computer generated.
It's computer generated, yes. I would like the computer generated report monthly.
Okay, versus the one with the graph.
How do you do it handwritten or do you do it with computer?
We do a
I
graph.
do my graph on a computer, but I use the statistics from the report, so it's easier to decipher.
Okay. But
I can send it straight from Pet Point, but
okay, that would be good. The one directly from Pet Point, please.
Hey, Commissioner Lynn, I just want to also let you all aware that we post that every month on our website too.
Right.
We'll make sure you get a copy of it.
Okay, thank you. I mean,
Just
when
so
it
you
was
can-
emailed to me, it reminded me to read it.
Okay, no problem. We got you.
Thank you. That's it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Clark, I want to get one kind of word straightened out. We have a animal services center, correct?
Animal Services, yes, sir. You're talking that on
But we don't
1500 Monte
have, we
Street.
don't have an animal shelter. It's animal services.
That's
It's,
correct.
it's Animal Services, yes,
That's
sir.
correct.
But it's not called animal shelter.
That's correct.
It's two different things.
Yes, sir.
Animal shelter
That's right.
is basically some way you put animals up and they stay there for a duration. There's no time limit. People can come, adopt them, and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
Animal services is dealing with the care of animals that people have abandoned or some other reason.
Yes, sir.
So what we have is animal services,
Yes, sir.
which means that there's a timeline for those animals to be there. We try to do things to get them adopted, but if all those fail, then we have next step that we have to do.
Yes, sir.
Because as those there will be others coming in.
Yes, sir.
One thing that we do or should be doing is making sure that people who do go out to adopt animals or who go buy animals know that they have a responsibility for that animal
Yes, sir.
until they separate, one die or the other die.
Yes, sir.
And not that, well, today I don't really feel like having an animal, and so I will abandon this animal and send them to animal services.
Yes, sir.
Which now puts the burden on the parish to either try to get it adopted or to actually euthanize it.
Yes, sir.
So I just want people to know that there's a difference between what we offer as Caddo Parish is the services for animals, not as an animal shelter.
Yes, sir.
This year, I will be chairing the Animal Services Committee. So there's a lot of clarification that I plan to make sure that our citizens know
that we have,
Yes, sir.
what we offer, and what the law states,
Yes, sir.
and as opposed to comfort feelings,
Yes, sir.
because we can't do everything on comfort feelings.
Yes, sir.
If that was the case, we'll be broke.
Yes, sir.
So this year, we're gonna have some meetings. Not gonna have overload of meetings because I don't believe in overload of meetings. They'll be structured, and we'll try to make some changes if they need to be changed.
Yes, sir.
If they don't need to be changed, we'll follow what we have as ordinances,
Yes, sir.
and we'll keep it going.
Yes, sir. I'm actually working on a presentation for that board to discuss between July 1st and December 31st, because we actually have the pet point data, we have the statistics. It's not handwritten cards, it's not word of mouth, that we can see where we need to improve. And from July 1st through December 31st, you had 641 dogs that ended up being humanely euthanized. Well, of that 641, 400 or so were pit bull type dogs. Next on the list was Labradors and mixes at about 92, and then you had Shepherd mixes at about 50. So, it's not a wide variety of animals being humanely euthanized. It's really the larger breeds that are being, humanely euthanized. And, people talk about the transports and whatnot, and I love them to death. Love transports, but they have pit bulls up north too. They have them on the West Coast. They have them on the East Coast.
Well, let me ask
It's
you about-
nowhere for them to go, really.
Let me ask you a question about the transport. I think I know the answer, but I want to make sure that the citizens of Caddo Parish know about this.
Mhm.
So basically, we get an animal in, and we treat the animal. It might have heartworms, hookworms, whatever.
We don't treat heartworm.
Well, we treat hookworms.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So those are treated by us. The taxpayers pay for that.
Yes, sir.
Then you get someone that says they want to transport an animal to, say, somewhere up north.
Yes, sir.
They will then transport that animal up north. They will then get the adoption fee for that particular animal.
Yes, sir.
All right, so is that adoption fee shared with the parish, or is
Not
that
at all.
adoption fee with that transporter?
No, sir. Any of the funds raised, none of that goes to the shelter.
Right.
Those
but-
funds are being utilized to get the animal there.
Right, so basically, the taxpayers have spent money to get the animal ready to be transported, and then as the transporter takes it up there, they get any fees associated with the adoption. They keep those.
The rescue organization that
Yes.
adopts out the animal?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so there's money that goes into that animal
Yes.
here,
Yes.
and then as the animal goes to wherever it's gonna go, then that particular agency gets the money and they keep it, and nothing that comes back to the parish.
No, sir.
Correct. All right. That's a problem to me, but we'll work on that later on down the road. Donna, on the Animal Services Advisory Committee that we have the citizens on, what was their charge when that advisory committee was formed? Do you remember?
To the best of my recollection, it was to advise on ordinance revisions, which we completed.
So their task has actually been completed. The
Yes.
reason why it was formed.
Yes.
Okay. So, I guess during my first meeting, that would be to basically to formally dissolve that particular committee. And if we need to do a new one, that we would charge a new one and get people to be on that one as well, if we need to. Okay. I just want to make sure that I got that on record, that that one has been basically fulfilled the mission that it was proposed to be doing. Thank you. I'm through, Ms. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Carthorne.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Director Clark.
Yes, sir.
You earlier mentioned you mentioned about the pit bull population.
Pit bull
that we
type
have
dogs.
here.
Yes, sir.
And I recently had some residents, constituents mention to me about concerns about pit bulls. It's my understanding, you correct me if I'm wrong, so nationwide, about 33% of every shelter, all shelters have an intake of pit bulls. In the largest cities, it could be anywhere from 40 to 65%. It's also understood that 75% of all municipal shelters that intake pit bulls, they are euthanized as soon as they come in, with 1 out of 600 pit bulls not having ever finding a home once they go to a shelter. So having given you those statistics, are we pretty much consistent? We kind of fall in those same parameters?
We adopt out a lot of pit bull type dogs because we have a large amount of people that actually do give them a chance. However, people come to a shelter, they want variety. Smaller dogs don't have an issue getting out. I had a dog come in last week. It was blind, it was deaf, barely had any teeth. Dog wasn't there 10 minutes and it got pulled. But you can have a healthy lab mix over here, and if it's not desired by a particular group at that particular time, because they may already have dogs that look similar, then it may not get pulled. So smaller dogs and medium dogs don't really have an issue getting out of the shelter as much as the larger dogs. And we do adopt out a lot of pit bull type dogs. However, we take in a lot. So as some make it out and others continue to stay there constantly every day, you have animals coming in, and a large majority of them are pit bulls. Now I can't pit bull type dogs. Or bully breeds. I can do a data check and see out of all of the dogs impounded from July 1st through December 31st, what percentage is a bully breed type dog. And I would say close to half, or at least 60% of them are going to be pit bull type dogs.
Okay, if you could provide me with that information.
Yes, sir, I will. No problem.
Thanks, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Carthorne. Parliamentarian Bowman.
All right, thank you, Madam President. Yes, I just wanted to continue to thank you for being able to come and respond to us and the citizens, because I know you get a barrage of so many different things, and some things that need clarifying on because with the ordinances. And also, just to add to, I was going to answer to Commissioner Johnson, yes, that was the main premise of the Citizen Advisory Board, and they have pretty much met the standard. We've met, I guess, for all the purposes intended. When I was chair, what was it? Oh, it's going 6 years ago now. We started with this. That was one of the main things and the concerns, that the people were saying about, because a lot of the complaints that we had when we met, to go through and develop the ordinances came from citizens. So we decided, let's allow them to be a part of the board, since that's where, the heart and passion is as well. And we worked diligently, as you worked with it too, to get it to where it is, so we wouldn't have it to be a bias, make it unbiased, so it wouldn't be a biased thing where it's just the commissioners doing it. So I think we've done due diligence with that, and it was, we went through the ordinances and bylaws. So I don't think, Brother Chairperson, there's anything else, so it's up to you to take it from there. All right, thank you, and I encourage you and Director Samuels, thank you all for what you all did on 2 persons' cases last week, including that black, what was it, miniature schnauzer that came through. That was Miss Q. Q is her name? Yeah.
Miss Collins.
Miss Collins. Okay. Highest praises to her. I got a lot of compliments for her.
Thank you.
Helping. So thank you all again.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
That's it?
Yes, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mike Middleton.
Thank you, ma'am. Director Clark, how often do we do such off-site things at places like Petco and PetSmart?
We have something, we try to have something every weekend. Sometimes they get rained out, but we have a adoption coordinator, a volunteer coordinator, who goes out on the weekends and does events. Sometimes it's Saturday and Sunday, sometimes it's Sunday, not Saturday, sometimes it's Saturday, not Sunday.
So you have a relationship with Petco and PetSmart?
I know we go to Petco. I think we were just invited to PetSmart yesterday.
Petco's one by Lowe's, isn't it? No, Petco's one over by Kroger's, isn't it? Okay.
It's out on your drive. I can't tell you exactly what it's next to. I know we've been to the Petco because I went and helped at one time. PetSmart is on the opposite side.
Could your adoption volunteer, could they maybe send us a list of where they're going to be? I know it could change.
We don't make a list. We just post it.
Then rain. brings it out, or something like that.
All of our off-sites are posted on our Facebook page prior to the event.
What's it, is that Caddo Pets, what's it called? Facebook, is what?
Caddo Pets.
Caddo
I think it's
Pets, okay.
Caddo Pets.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
See Commissioner Middleton?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank you,
Director
Janice.
Clark.
Thank y'all.
Job well done, appreciate it.
Dr. Wilson?
Madam President, you here to hear from Mr. Wells at this point, or you want to wait until the ordinance?
Sure. I
Mr.
think
Wells,
it
you
would be
wanna come
good to
on
hear
up
from
now?
you.
Talk-
A point of order, doesn't he need to speak during the public hearing, Donna?
It's my understanding that you all wanted him to wait so that you all could have a
Be able
dialogue.
to ask
Okay.
questions back and forth, and that would be the appropriate time.
So we need to have him talk now?
Yes.
During the public hearing.
During the public hearing, sir.
Okay. I'm done.
That's it, Dr.
Yes,
Wilson?
ma'am, thank you.
Okay. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to President's Report.
Thank you, sir. If you will, everyone please stand.
While they walk around, we have a special presentation the President would like to provide.
Commissioner Chavez. Thank you. On behalf of Caddo Parish Commission, we just wanted to extend a token of our love and to thank you for your service as the president for 2018. We enjoy co-laboring with you in service for Caddo Parish. You have been fair. We love handling the business with you because you're about inequality and injustice. And we thank you so much for the service that you have provided. You've been a great example, and I look forward to serving half as well as you have. Thank you.
Hip, hip, hooray!
You all may be seated. Doug?
Thank you, Stormy. Thank you so much, Madam President. Thank y'all, commissioners. Once again, I just appreciate the opportunity and confidence y'all instilled for me being able to serve last year. Look forward, this will be my last year. Look forward to last time and look for great things to come with Commissioner President Stormy Gage Watts. So thank y'all again. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Job well done, Doug.
I see no other commissioners on the board. No roasting or anything. huh?
Okay.
Okay. What,
Maybe I'll say so.
Parliamentarian Bowman?
I just want to say it's been an extreme honor to work with you, and I know, like Commissioner Johnson, I think we wanted to, I like to say, not the last of the Mohicans, but we were fortunate enough to be blessed to have you serve as president twice while we were here, and so I think that just shows it's a testament to what a great leader you are, attorney, a role model, and father. And so it's an honor to serve under you and work with you. So I think that's generally the sentiments of everyone else too. So thank you.
Thank you very much. If you keep saying those things, I'm going to be like Tim Weaver. I'm not going to be able to get my head through the door. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, commissioners, and I'm sure that passes by acclamation. We all feel the same sentiments about. Yeah.
Well, we hope he's a person of, we hope he's a person of equality, Madam President, and not inequality.
Inequality. Yes, I did say
Hope that wasn't
inequality, and
said
I
at the
heard
time.
that also. Thank you, sir.
That's not
Thank
part
you.
of your slip.
All right. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. At this time, I also wanted to make sure that everyone is aware that we have been updated by the Department of Homeland Security about the rain that is expected to come through this weekend. We will give updates as necessary to keep everyone informed of the flooding and what's expected to happen. So we thank Mr. Jump for always being on top of that and keeping us informed in that area. I also wanted to say to the commissioners that everyone should have received their subcommittee assignments by now. If you have not, please reach out to us and let us know. I am looking forward to working with you and asking that you will be actively engaged in the process, having a plan of action and your goals for 2019 at your earliest convenience is something that I would like to talk to each chair about. Also, Commissioner John Atkins, I just wanted to extend my condolences to you personally and publicly to let you know that many of us around this horseshoe embrace you and we encourage you in this walk because many of us have stood in your shoes. However, we don't know how you feel, but I do know that God knows exactly how you feel. You are in our thoughts and our prayers. And CPAS, I had one thing for Director Clark. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you. You mentioned those pit bulls, and we had an incident with some constituents last week that were terrified about a pit bull that was roaming through their neighborhoods, and you all quickly addressed the issue. The constituents just want to say thank you for getting over there so quickly, making them feel like that they were rescued from a very bad situation. So I appreciate what you all are doing out there. I've had good experiences with you all and looking forward to those things continuing to happen. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am. And that particular animal, that's the second impound, so it has to be altered before it can return, and they'll have to have a fence inspection prior to the animal return.
Awesome.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sure the neighbors will be happy to hear that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Director Clay Walker, I saw him out there. Hello. I don't need you to come up. I just want to extend my gratitude for you with the interview on Channel 3. It was a great interview. It was filled with data. It had the facts in it, Vice President Chavez, that we talk about often up here, that you need to hear about the greater things that's going on at our juvenile detention center, and that we are prepared for the challenge because it's not a crisis, March 1st. So thank you. And that will conclude my president's report at this time. Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow's the human trafficking thing, I think.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you, Commissioner Middleton. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., the Human Trafficking Awareness Joint Proclamation signing will be held at the Juvenile Detention Center on the steps. Vice President Chavez will be standing in for me on tomorrow with his opening remarks and the proclamation signing, so thank you for that.
Sorry, I'm so short.
Stand as tall as
That's short on words.
Yes.
Bring your soapbox.
Thank you, Commissioner Middleton, for reminding me of that. And it also reminds me of another announcement that I have here. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated presents an art and letters event, a Martin Luther King Jr. holiday celebration with civil rights icon Reverend Harry Blake on Sunday, January 20th, 2019 at 3:00 p.m. And that will be held at Mount Canaan Baptist Church, 1666 Austin Street. Did I forget anything else?
Yes, he mentioned.
At 3:00 p.m. I'm sure he will then communicate. Okay. That will conclude my president's report, Mr. Clerk. Next item, please.
Next, we move to public hearing on zoning ordinances and cases. Ordinance number 5839 of 2019 regards to zoning case P3518. Amending the zoning of property located on the north side of Greenwood Road, approximately 1,600 feet west of Broad Acres Road, from RA Rural Agriculture District to I-1 Light Industrial District.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5839? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5839? I see none, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to public hearing on ordinances. Ordinance number 5842 of 2019, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund in the amount of $8,000 to provide an appropriation for Showtime boxing event.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5842 of 2019? Mr. Kelly Wells? Yes.
Thank you, Madam President, Caddo
Mr.
Commissioners.
Wells, thank you.
Just wanted to give a follow-up on the event. I've got Ms. Amber Bishop, who's a promoter, of course, Stacy Brown, the president of the Convention and Tourist Bureau, and with the boxing event, how many of y'all got to attend the event quite a few of y'all. So
Yes.
what'd you think?
It was a great event. Looking forward to more events like that. Shreveport was there in great numbers. And I think this will not be a one and done, Mr. Kelly Wells' words. This will be a reoccurring event.
So, I'd like to give her an applause, because if we had citizens like her, and I know we do a lot, but, again, it was a team effort, but I thought Amber and her husband, John, and her sister flew in from Oregon to help out for 2 weeks, but I'm glad she wasn't paid by the hour. But, the 8,000, I think the neat thing, beside the boxing, and Mike said keep this really short, or Commissioner Middleton said keep this short, the 8,000 went directly to where we'll go directly to the rental of the stage work. So I was talking to someone earlier, and there's phone call after phone call coming in to see about that facility. So I think it was just really neat being in that facility and seeing it, and Amber and her team with Bishop Promotions just did a phenomenal job of sparing no expense and really providing and that was my first live boxing event. So I'm hooked down, see why it's so exciting. It's not going to be a one and done. We did find out in that short time frame that there were some expenses that we weren't aware of, but we're going to work through that, because I told her we're a team, from the parish and from everybody else. But I know she's already talking to Scott Musket and the folks over at George's Pond about expanding, because we're about 42 short of a sellout. We didn't even know what the maximum capacity was at the time until Chief Robinson came out and helped us out, but it was 1,800, so we had 1,752. So again, I thought it was great. The announcement from Devin Haney right after the fight was he may not be back in Shreveport, because he'll be probably fighting for the world title, probably in a sold-out venue in Vegas. So, again, it was just, I think we got to experience history and a great night of entertainment, and I think it was one of the most diverse events of not just color, but socioeconomics and rich and poor, and that was one thing that was really Amber really wanted everybody to be able to come out and experience world-class boxing. So I wanted her to comment for a second.
Yes, sir, Mr. Wells, I agree.
Hello,
Hi, Ms.
everyone.
Amber.
Hello, yes, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you guys for the support. Without the support, this event couldn't have happened. So I appreciate everyone stepping up and help bringing this event to Shreveport.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a few commissioners that had some questions.
Point
and
of order.
comments.
Yeah, I just talked to, if I'm okay. We can't make
State
any
your point.
we can't make any comments or speak at this time. This is a public hearing.
Yes.
Whenever the vote comes and the motion is made and the second to adopt it, then we can discuss it and ask questions.
No problem.
Am I
Okay.
correct, Ms. Frazier?
That's correct.
That's right.
Thank you
I'm
for
sorry.
that point of order, Commissioner Dominic. That's what we were asking earlier. So we got some misunderstanding in that. Okay, thank you. So we'll clear the board. Okay. Is that it? Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5842 of 2019? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5842? I see none. Mr. Clerk?
Next, we move to ordinance number 5843 of 2019, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund to cancel the $125,000 appropriation for NLEP.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5843? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5843? I see none, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to ordinance number 5847 of 2019, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund and the amount of $5,000 to provide an appropriation for the Cedar Grove CDC.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5847? Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5847?
John Settle, 4 Tealwood. You have two on the agenda today for churches. One, I think that these would be appropriate to have gone through the NGO committee when y'all went through the process of awarding monies and you got backup data. I did not find any backup data on this one for Cedar Grove CDC. I did some research. The corporation is not in good standing with the Secretary of State. I tried to find some information on a nonprofit website that usually lists tax returns and gives you some idea of assets. The contact person on this is called nonprofitfacts.com. The contact person is Stephen Jackson, so I'm not sure what Commissioner Jackson's involvement in. All of you go to churches, and I think most of the churches you go to have educational programs. And I think if we're going to start giving out money here for one educational program, then probably everybody has a church that needs that. But primarily, I think that this should go through the NGO committee. I'm certainly not anti-church. I helped start Grace Community United Methodist Church. Commissioner Atkins and I go there, and they have a very active outreach program, Common Ground in Cedar Grove, that has tutoring year-round, food programs, Christmas programs, et cetera. But I really think that the NGO process would be better for this application.
Thank you, Mr. Settle. There's none other, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, next we move to ordinance number 5848 of 2019, amend the budget estimate revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund and the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $15,000, $10,000 for economic development and $5,000 for Riverboat, to provide an appropriation for Grace Community.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of ordinance number 5848?
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
My name is Travis Bogan, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Grace Project. Grace Project has been in business now for going on about 20 years. We've been doing a lot of economic development in the Allendale community. We've actually built 5 single-family dwellings. We have a good relationship with the Office of Community Development. We're in good standing with the Secretary of State, and we are also a certified CHODO. And we'd like the opportunity to continue to redevelop, do development, more development in the Allendale community.
That's it?
That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Is there?
I'm sorry.
Go
Also,
ahead.
I'm a member of Mount Canaan Church, which you just mentioned a minute ago, which has a very rich history, is located in Allendale. And I guess I'd be a little bit remiss if I did not introduce to you all our new pastor, Pastor Greg Oliver, who's in the audience today.
Thank you.
Pastor Oliver, would you stand?
We've already
did that
acknowledged. Yes.
That's all right.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Oliver. I know what it's like to be proud of your pastor, but thank you, sir.
Amen.
I see no one else to speak in favor of ordinance number 5848. Is there anyone here to speak against ordinance number 5848?
John Settle for Tealwood. I got a call on this and asking why my church, Grace United Methodist Church, was getting money from the commission. I'm more confused now because the ordinance, the resolution says Grace Development Community Development Corporation. Mr. Bogan said he was with Grace Projects. I was not able to do any research on Grace Projects because I didn't know that was the entity getting the money. There is a Grace Community Development Corporation out of New Orleans that's inactive, and there's a Love, Mercy, Grace inactive corporation in Shreveport. One, again, I think it's appropriate to go through the NGO procedure. 2, now today it appears that a different entity is asking for money, Grace Projects, versus whatever the resolution is for, because I couldn't identify that. Thirdly, I believe this is for economic development, housing. You have a housing trust fund, the E. Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund, that is supposed to be helping with housing. And again, we all have churches, they all have good causes, and I think that again, the proper procedure would go through the NGO procedure process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Settle. Is there anyone else here to speak against ordinance number 5848? Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next we move to ordinance number 5849 of 2019, to close and abandon a portion of road dedication in section 1, township 16 North Range, 14 West, in the parish of Caddo.
Is there anyone here willing to speak in favor of ordinance number 5849? Is there anyone here who would like to speak against ordinance number 5849? I see none, Mr. Clerk. I declare these ordinances number 5842, 5843, 5847, 5848, and 5849 of 2019 closed.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we move to zoning ordinances for final passage. Ordinance number 5839 of 2019 in regards to zoning case P3518.
Move
to.
Second.
There's the motion?
Yes,
Go
I make
ahead.
motion to adopt.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Yes.
It's been moved by Commissioner Lewis Johnson, and it was seconded by Commissioner Doug Dominic. Please vote. And that passes 12-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to ordinances for final passage. Ordinance number 5842 of 2019.
Move to adopt
Second.
ordinance
Second.
5842, 2019.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, and it was seconded by Commissioner Lynn Carthorne. Commissioner Johnson, would you like to speak on your motion?
Yes, I would like to also amend the ordinance to say that we will pay Showtime boxing event instead of the Sports Commission.
Second.
Okay, we have a substitute motion?
Yes.
Substitute
It's
motion,
amending it.
amending the wording? Is that what you're asking? And it was seconded by Commissioner Mario Vice President Chavez. Would you like to speak on that motion, sir?
Well, I want to speak on the whole general motion itself. I was able to attend the boxing event, and it actually put a very good spotlight on Shreveport that night. After the boxing event, I actually went home and saw it on Showtime, and being there and then watching it on TV was like night and day. But the showing it on Showtime basically showed it just showed how the event was set up. It showed that the arena looked good, the ring. Some things that we saw there live, they didn't really all show that on Showtime. But
That was good.
yeah, it really was. It really was. But you know, it was a highlight. It made me feel like, you know, the event, watching it on TV was like one of the places they normally go, like Vegas. Or
Right.
And I think that this is something that we could grow up on. This event basically didn't have anyone who had a belt per se, but at the same time, it had some good boxers that were coming up in the rankings. And anything that we can do to try to improve our image and give quality of life events that would bring people into Shreveport, that would stay overnight in hotels, to help us to have additional events like this, we should support. This $8,000 is very small compared to the whole event itself, and it's gonna go a whole lot further. Have y'all done an economic impact of the event yet? Come on up. You can talk now.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a unique opportunity. Amber's done most of her events at the Horseshoe, and so the last option we had was the Stageworks, and so it had not been used in a while, and so and then having the short time we had, so you know, it was a phenomenal event. Amber had done mainly the MMA fights. She had done one other boxing event, and so there actually was a belt. The WBO belt, so that's what Evan Haney, you know, was going for and won. So, you know, we didn't know. In fact, I think in the economic impact we'd put maybe 2,500. Well, you know, and it was just a great, you know, the Shreveport Fire Department and police and y'all and everybody really got on board with that. But, you know, the 1,800 was the max capacity of the venue. We tried to get them to allow for some stand-up only, but ended up with 1,752. You know, was phenomenal. But we're still getting the expenses and everything together. So again, you know, I think it was a phenomenal event. You know, Amber wasn't going to have anything but a phenomenal event. But you know, I can tell you, she's not making the money off the event. You know,
So-
but it's
So basically, not cutting y'all, but that
Yep.
ain't what I asked for. But whenever you can get the economic impact of that, then just let us know.
Yeah, we
Or
just
you
want
let
to
me
come
know
back
and I can
today.
let everybody
and
else know.
We're still working on some final numbers
Okay.
and waiting on Showtime to get, because they came in and spent a good amount of money as well. So I do want to make sure and bring that back. But with it just happened last weekend, but we should maybe within the next week or so have that. In fact, we should have it by the Sports Commission meeting next Wednesday. So maybe next Thursday we can come back, but we will provide that report.
Yeah. And one thing that I do know that we need in there, if we're gonna continue to have some boxing, is a replay screen. So when someone gets knocked out, that you can see it happen again and over. So that's something I saw on TV as opposed to being there live. Once they got knocked out, if you was turned around, you missed it. So
Well, you're right. It was a lot more. It was a lot more exciting live than it was, watching it back. But again, to get 2.5 hours on Showtime was phenomenal.
I'm done, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Yes, at introduction, it was my understanding that the $8,000 went to the purchase of the rink, and then today you said it went to Stage Works, but then Commissioner Johnson has done a substitute motion, and where is the money going now?
Showtime boxing event. We're paying them directly instead
And
of the
so
sports
we actually are writing a check to Showtime?
It's actually going to be
Boxing
to
event.
Stageworks of Louisiana for the $8,000 rental fee of the
Okay, so
facility.
you are correct. Okay, then my question is, does the city of Shreveport or does David Myatt get that $8,000?
I think it's a combination of both. There's still I don't know how that's, Stageworks of Louisiana is getting paid the $8,000. And then I think there were some payments that were to be made to the city of Shreveport, but it was kind of
Who is Stageworks of Louisiana?
It's an LLC that I guess maybe back in, I don't know the exact date, 2005, when the new convention center was opened up, Shreveport had a facility that wasn't being utilized, or was being utilized, but they wanted to shift everything over to the convention center. So my understanding is that was around the same time that the hurricane happened. The movie industry really started picking up here, and so the Stageworks group really invested to turn the old expo hall. And you saw that Friday night, there's still the soundproof walls. So, the last few years it's been used for the movie productions. So
Does Stageworks rent from the city of Shreveport, and who still owns the building?
I believe Shreveport still owns the building, but still has a lease agreement with, I think Stageworks still has a lease agreement with the city. So I think they're still kind of trying to determine they're still trying to determine what the use is. Because the movie production's kind of been a while, but I can't really address all of that.
Thanks, Madam President.
Okay, I was about to, point of order, clarification, can we keep this germane to what's going on? Thank you.
Thank you, Parliamentarian Bowman. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
I already spoke.
Commissioner John Atkins.
First of all, thank you, Kelly. I thought it was a great event. I wasn't able to attend in person, but I watched it on television. I fell asleep before the final knockout, but it looked like a wonderful. It showed Shreveport well. I couldn't tell from television. I couldn't tell the difference from Shreveport and many other venues. So that was great. Sure. And I think that we got nice leverage on our parish dollar, and got a lot of bang for our parish buck. That being said, I think we certainly need to think through how we do this type of event in the future. I, for one, have some reservation about taking parish dollars to support a for-profit entity. If we could somehow support the Sports Commission in some way that, something to where we're not providing capital directly to for-profit organizations. So in the future, let's think through that and button that up if we can.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Thank you, Madam President. I, too, just want to say that I was able to attend the fight. And you made a very good point when you said that the audience was representative of each socioeconomic area was represented there. We heard nothing but good and positive comments. It was really well put together. Obviously, there was a lot of work and a lot of planning, and I just thought the city and the parish looked very, very good. So I was proud that the commission stepped up and made the decision to support it. And both you and Ms. Bishop obviously did a great, as well as the Tourist Bureau, have done a great job. And as Madam President was saying, we look forward to those type of events in the future. So good job. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. I'd like to retract my second. I was under the impression we were going to pay the show box and not the sound stage. And I don't want to come up here and give you the issues of why, but I'll just retract my second and continue to, okay, that's all.
Thank you, Vice President Chavez. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
I was going to remove my motion. We're going to go ahead and pay the Sports Commission and let them handle the bills.
Sounds good.
That's it, Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you. Attorney Frazier.
That's what I was going to address, because it's going to need to be a cooperative endeavor agreement, like we typically do. So I just wanted to make sure the entity that we were going to be contracting with.
So now feel good, it's going to go into the Sports Commission.
Okay. So the ordinance will remain as
written.
stated.
As written.
Okay, and that was motion by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson and second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Okay, we have another commissioner on the board, Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yeah, I just want to, for legal purposes, there's nothing illegal about changing about us amending this with it.
There's nothing illegal about amending it. My question is, who's going to sign?
Right, you just want the cooperative endeavor, but.
Trying to track down the person to sign.
Correct, but
So,
for legal purposes,
No,
an amendment is totally within reason to just amend who the.
that would have been fine.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. I see no further discussion. Please vote. And that passes 11-1. Thank you for letting Shreveport be showcased on Showtime.
Thank y'all for attending and your support. And again, thank you, Amber and team as well, for taking the risk.
Thank you. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Ordinance number 5843 of 2019 to cancel
Thank you, Mr.
the
Williams.
$125,000 appropriation for NLEP.
Motion to accept
Second.
the ordinance of 5843.
Okay, it's been motioned by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, and that was second by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, would you like to speak on your motion?
I yield if somebody's going to get on the board, but if nobody's getting on the board, I won't speak.
I see no discussion. Let's vote. And that passes 12-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Ordinance number 5847 of 2019, $5,000 to provide an appropriation for the Cedar Grove CDC.
So move for adoption.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Stephen Jackson, and that was second by Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Jackson, would you like to speak?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Madam President. I want to be clear and correct the record. It's easy for folks to jump up and pull the 2012 GuideStar report that lists me as an officer with that organization. I make no secrets about it that I was involved with the organization when I moved back to Shreveport. Part of my charge was to get involved in my community. That's no different than individuals who have been on the board of Shreveport Green. And if I'm correct, Dr. Wilson, Shreveport Green is in our budget. That's no different than Cyport. And we have individuals who have family members who are on Cyport's board. And if I'm correct, we have appropriated funds to Cyport. I have no connections with this organization. I have not been associated with the organization since 2014. And so there is no conflict of interest. I think what we try to do is scare people up. And, I had made an announcement at our budget meeting that I would bring an appropriation at the first of the year to amend our budget. So these are organizations that are doing good work. They're keeping youth out of trouble. and they're helping to support this community in a positive way. And so I'm not going to go back and forth about the semantics. I see here two organizations owned by Mr. Settle, Bike LLC and Settle Consulting, that are to date not in good standing on the Secretary of State's website. These organizations, point of order, Madam President.
State your point.
I have the floor, and we're
Yes,
not
you
in
do
the
have
public
the floor,
comment
sir.
section.
Thank you, sir.
And so we want to walk around trying to dig up dirt on everybody else, but hadn't even checked out the dirt on ourselves. That organization has until March 8th to update their information on the Secretary of State's website. And so it's a rolling calendar year. I would just like to say that our legal department and our finance department do an excellent job with making sure that organizations are in compliance before any check is cut. And so this perception that somebody's trying to commit malfeasance or something, we need to stop that. Either you support it or you don't. And I'm not here to get into these personal spats about what folks think we need to do. I can tell you, we bury a lot of people in this community, and what my pastor, because it's been noted that this is associated with a church, but my pastor will tell you the funeral costs more than this when we're burying these young lives out here. And so this is an investment in our community, and this is an investment in the lives of the young folks in our community. And I would ask for our favorable consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson, and thank you for stating your point. Point taken. Commissioner Doug Dominic.
Ms. Frazier, I'm assuming this is equivalent to the NGO. Has an application been turned in from this organization?
I have not seen one for this year.
And and I'm assuming, then my next question was, has it been vetted by the legal department? When we do these NGOs, normally an application's turned in and then it's vetted by your office or your department, correct?
Correct. I know that in the past, they've used the money for tutoring for low-income students and a summer program for low-income students, which are permissible use.
And this is, the organization is Cedar Grove CDC, is that correct?
Correct.
Are they in good standing, or do you know?
I do not know. Once you all approve an organization, we send out a cooperative endeavor agreement. If they are not in good standing at that point, we notify them of that, and they have to send us back information with a signed CEA showing us that they have filed whatever reports.
So they would be in good standing before any check would be written?
That is correct.
The only question I have is, but they haven't turned in an application and we haven't had a chance to vet them yet, correct?
Not for this year.
Ma'am?
Not for this year, no.
I have nothing further, and I'll just say, I don't want to get into all that stuff between, Commissioner Jackson, we was on board or was not. I mean, I completely understand that you were at one time, so hopefully we can set that aside. I totally agree with that. My just concern is they haven't turned in an application and haven't been vetted, and it doesn't seem like the processes that we normally do when we fund the NGOs. But so that's where I'm concerned about.
Is that it, Commissioner Dominic? Thank you. Commissioner John Atkins.
Thank you, Madam President. I have nothing against these organizations. I don't know them, but I'm assuming that they do excellent work. I have nothing against the commissioner who's proposed these. This isn't a personal thing. I just feel that most of our NGOs go through an NGO process. I know that Commissioner Jackson did mention he was going to propose some things at the beginning of the budget cycle. That doesn't mean I like that approach. I just think that it's only fair to all our organizations to stack them up and compare and contrast and participate in deciding how to allocate NGO funding in particular. So for those reasons, I won't be able to support it, but it's not a personal thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Commissioner Mike Middleton.
Thank you, ma'am. There's a reference a few minutes ago about, I guess, commissioners being on board for Shreveport Green. I know that I was at one time. In 2015, after I got elected, I resigned from that board because I wanted to make sure there was no potential conflict in the event that Shreveport Green, as an NGO, asked for any money. And I don't think, including in 2016, I don't think Shreveport Green has received any money from the NGO process. So I just want the record to reflect that.
Get it from the general fund.
Well, that's, I think that's for paid for services, if I'm not mistaken. It's not just money to give out. So I just want to make sure the record reflects that I resigned from the board as of December 31st, 2015, right before taking office. So if that reference was aimed at somebody, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Middleton. Vice President Chavez.
Thank you, President. Motion to send this to NGO committee.
Second.
Thank you. Obviously, there's a lot of different opinions on this. I'd just like them to do the due diligence of submitting the application properly, and the NGO committee can then send the recommendation to the full body, and we'll just do things as the process sees fit. That's all. Thank you, President.
Okay, we have a substitute motion from Vice President Chavez and second by Doug Dominic to send to a committee. And you have already spoken on your motion. Parliamentarian Bowman.
Yes, Madam President. I just wanted us to just do a point for us to remember that.
Excuse me.
God bless you. It's not about, for me, it has nothing to do with Commissioner Jackson or anything. I just don't want us to have convenient amnesia. And the reality is, since I've been here, sometimes things just don't go the way they're supposed to, and things aren't submitted, or they're submitted, but we have to go back, and it's not always going to be at the beginning of the year. Yes, we would want that to happen, but I do know, at least with not so much just this organization, but I know the one, I don't want to speak out of turn, upcoming next, is the fact that through research, it is viable organizations, and sometimes, just like it was brought up to me about, let's say, tutorial programs, and some people have come to me and said, well, should we support so many after-school tutorial programs? There's one in MLK, and there's one in Allendale, and there's one in Cedar Grove, there's one in Moortown, Queensboro. Well, a lot of those persons aren't able to receive the services. If I'm living in Queensboro, I can't go to MLK. I may not be able to make it to Allendale. So a lot of times those things, what seems like duplicates, really do matter, and they make a difference because those persons are indigent sometimes and aren't able to have transportation or be able to, that one group can't just service them. So I just want us to be mindful of that and not, let's not make this personal against anyone, and let's remember sometimes, each year I've seen where someone we have to go back and do something, and sometimes we make amendments. And I'm sure with our staff and the attorneys that nothing here would be sent through that's not valuable or where it's supposed to be and vetted. So I just wanted us to keep that in mind. This is not something that Commissioner Jackson just made up. This is something that the organization, he just so happens to be the person saying it. So let's not be personal and negative towards anyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Parliamentarian Bowman. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I'd like to point out that we just approved $8,000 for Showtime Boxing, and we didn't receive an application for that.
This is true.
They came down, told us what they wanted to do, gave us a report, and we just stood here and gave kudos to everything that was said. And so you didn't get a full-fledged application for it. If it came through, I didn't see it. So what about the process are you concerned about? Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
I was just going to bring that up, that we just approved $8,000 for either Showtime Boxing, Stageworks for the money to go to the city of Shreveport, or Stageworks to go to the family that runs Stageworks that either rents or doesn't rent from Stageworks. That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. Vice President Chavez.
I'll yield so we can vote.
Please vote.
This is on the substitute.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, would you state what we're voting on at this time?
Substitute motion by Mr. Chavez, second by Mr. Dominic, to send to the NGO committee. Ordinance number 5847.
Thank you.
Mr. Atkins? Mr. Cawthorn?
Oh, I done it.
Both our show votes. Did they register?
Yes, sir.
And that fails 7-5. Now we are voting on the original motion. Mr. Clerk, would you read the original motion, please?
Original motion is ordinance number 5847, 2019, to amend the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $5,000 to provide an appropriation for Cedar Grove CDC.
Okay,
And I
Commissioner Lyndon
make
B.
the
Johnson.
I just got a point of clarification that I want the public to know based on the question that I'm asked and the answer that I get from administration. Based on this, and if it's a positive vote, that the organization will not receive any funds until there is a completed application and that organization is vetted. Correct?
But she said that a second ago.
But I want it to be.
She gonna be, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a completed application and the organization totally vetted before any check is issued. If no application is done, there's no check. If the organization is vetted and they found that there are in some kind of problems, they don't get a check. Correct?
Point of
Thank you.
order, wouldn't you have to put that in a motion?
No, that's the process.
That's the process. Yeah, but
I just want the people to know the process.
Yeah, but the normal process that what we were talking about is for that to happen, but we didn't do it with the other one, so why do they have to do it here?
Okay, first of all,
They gonna
point of
still have to
order,
do it.
Commissioner
They gonna
Johnson
still
has the
have to-
floor, press the thing to be recognized, and we'll
Stage
stay in
work, we're
order.
still gonna have to, the
Thank you,
sports
Parliamentarian
commission gonna still
Bowman.
have to do an application. They still gonna have to do an application to us.
We can get them to do it. Commissioners, it has not always been, we try to get applications from all organizations. We work with them to get the applications.
Speak up.
There have been times, we try to work with all organizations to get the applications, but obviously there have been times where commissioners have proposed items, such as a sports commission item, where we may not necessarily, but if that's your will, we will get the application.
I would ask that we get that application from them.
Thank you, Mrs. Bryant. Is that it, Commissioner Johnson?
Yeah, I just want to clarify that so that the public would know the process.
Thank you. Attorney Frazier.
I was just gonna say the same thing Ms. Bryant did.
Okay. I see no further discussion. Please vote.
I'm sorry, Madam, could you remind us what we're voting on?
We are voting on the original motion to amend the budget of estimated
Okay, thank you.
revenues in the amount of $5,000 to provide an appropriation for the Cedar Grove CDC.
Mr. Chavez?
And that passes 7-5. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Ordinance number 5848, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Economic Development Fund and the Riverboat Fund in the amount of $15,000 to provide an appropriation for Grace Community.
So move for adoption.
Second.
That has been moved by Commissioner Jackson, and that was seconded by Parliamentarian Bowman. Commissioner Jackson, would you like to speak on your motion?
Yes, I just want to commend Grace Community for what they're doing. I do believe they have submitted the application, Ms. Bryant. I do believe they have submitted, and I apologize, I'm probably gonna have to get back in the board, but that's it for me.
That's it, sir?
for me right now.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
I just got a point of clarification, then I might have to make a motion. But is the organization the Grace Community, CDC, or is it Grace Project?
Grace Project.
Grace Project.
Grace Project?
Right.
So I can now make a motion, so I got clarification?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I would like to make a motion to change the name from Grace Community to Grace Project.
Second.
So there's a substitute motion to make an amendment to the wording of Grace Community to Grace Project by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, and it was seconded by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Commissioner Johnson. Need to speak?
I see nobody on the board. I yield.
Okay. Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yeah, I'm good. Have a good day, John.
Is there anyone else? I see none other. Please vote.
This is on the substitute motion.
This is on the substitute motion?
That's correct.
Change the name?
Change
Yeah.
the name, amend it.
And that passes 11-1.
10-2.
10-2. Sorry, I got a blank right here. Okay. That passes 10-2, correction.
Now we need to pass as
As
the
amended.
original as amended.
Okay, please vote.
Adopt.
Adopt as amended.
Oh, I see what, okay, I screwed up my vote.
And that passes 8-4. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Ordinance number 5849 of 2019 to close and abandon portion of road dedication in section 1, township 16 north, range 14 west.
So move for adoption.
Second.
It's been motioned by Vice President Chavez and it was seconded by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. No discussion? Good. Please vote.
Mine looks like it's stuck on, there we go.
And that passes 12-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to ordinances for introduction by title only. Ordinance number 5841 of 2019, authorizing emergency aid to those who were affected by the April 2018 tornadoes. Ordinance number 5850, an ordinance declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and authorize the parish administrator or a designee to sell the parish of Caddo's tax interest in certain surplus adjudicated properties. Ordinance number 5851, an ordinance declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and to authorize the parish administrator or designee to sell the parish of Caddo's tax interest in certain surplus adjudicated properties. Ordinance number 5852, an ordinance declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and to authorize the parish administrator or designee to sell the parish of Caddo's tax interest in certain surplus adjudicated properties. Next, we would need to ratify the minutes from January 14th.
So move for
Second.
adoption. Second.
It's been moved by acclamation. Please vote. That passes 12-0, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to resolutions. Resolution number 3 of 2019, to authorize the parish administrator to enter into a CEA and share fees with capital area
Move to
finance.
adopt
So moved.
resolution number 3.
Second.
That's been moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, and that was seconded by Commissioner Lynn Carthorne. Commissioner Johnson, would you like to speak?
No.
Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, I'll make a motion to englobo and adopt resolution number 3, number 4, and resolution number 5.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved to englobo resolution number 3, 4, and 5 by Commissioner
go down
Stephen
the whole
Jackson
thing.
and second by Commissioner Doug Dominic. Please vote. That passes 12-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
We have no old business, we move to new business. Approved travel to Washington DC for lobbying for the parish president.
So
Moved
moved.
by the chair.
Second.
Moved by the chair and second by Parliamentarian Bowman. Okay, I have a couple. Commissioner Jackson.
I was gonna make a motion to englobo and adopt approval for travel for the president to DC, confirmation of sheriff appointee, Caddo Communication District 1, confirmation of reappointment to Caddo District number 6, confirmation of reappointment to Caddo District number 7, and confirmation of Mr.
Second.
Calvin Austin
Second.
to the zoning board of
So
appeals.
you beat me. I'll let you have it. There has
Yes.
been a substitute motion by Commissioner Stephen Jackson and second by Commissioner Doug Dominic. Clear the board.
I like that.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, will you read that substitute motion, please?
Substitute motion is to englobo approve travel to Washington DC for lobbying, confirmation of sheriff's appointee to Caddo Parish Communication District number 1 board, confirm reappointment to Fire District number 6 board, confirm reappointment to Water District number 7 board, confirm city parish appointment to the zoning board of appeals.
Okay. I see no further discussion. Please vote.
Mr. Jackson?
And that passes 12-0. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to communiques and committee reports.
Communiques and committee reports. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Just wanted to point out that as we mentioned, Centenary College's Day of Service will kick off on January 21st, 2019 at 8 a.m. at Centenary College. We will have the mayor there, myself, city department heads that'll be there. We will break out throughout the city to engage in a day of service. So if your schedules permit, please join us. Also want to bring to your attention a program called A Day of Racial Healing that is going to be at, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Minicini?
Minicini.
Okay, Minicini at 846 Texas Avenue, and that is going to be January 22nd, 2019. And that's going to be an opportunity for our city to just come together in prayer and unity and pray. So this was an invitation extended. I think individuals down at the Hub and the Hopewell Center are encouraging this, so it's a great program to participate in. Also, January, now 6 p.m., I'm sorry, 6 p.m., January 22nd.
Thank you.
And January 27th is 26th, I apologize, January 26th, which is a Saturday. We will have our first NACA. That's with the Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund. And NACA will be coming in to do a home mortgage counseling. And NACA is a very different home mortgage counseling. This is our efforts to create more homeowners in our community. We know that when individuals, nothing against renters, I'm one right now, but when individuals own their communities, they have access to wealth and capital as a homeowner, and we're putting more property tax dollars back on the tax roll. And so this will be an opportunity for individuals. It's not so much dependent upon their credit score, but their character. So you just can't get it. You just can't get a mortgage, but they do look at your financial character as opposed to just looking solely at a credit score. It's a very popular program. What we're going to try to do is have one of their NACA days here where you can get qualified for a mortgage on the spot. It's called the Achieving the Dream NACA program. So we're going to try to, right now it's sold out from what I'm told. We had to open it up for another 25, 30 folks, and those seats filled up. That'll be at Galilee Baptist Church, and it will start at 9 a.m. And if you have an opportunity, just come by and see. A lot of realtors have reached out to me wanting to be a part of it. So if you have an opportunity to come by and say hello to some constituents, please feel free to do so. That wraps up my comments, Madam President, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Matthew Lynn.
Yes, there is a Highland Restoration meeting tonight at Knoll Methodist Church starting at 6:30, and I want to say thank you to all of the people that selflessly serve on all of the boards that we have, NPC, ZBA, fire districts, water districts. Most of the people don't realize this, but these take a great amount of time, and they are all unpaid. And so thank you for all the time and dedication that everybody gives to our community. That's it. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynn. I just had one quick communication. I just wanted to say congratulations again to Caddo Parish for the 10th year of their AAA bond rating. Standards and Poor's, and there are a number of factors that are included but not limited to the strong management and good financial policies and practices. So congratulations to all of us.
Yay. I thought we was going bankrupt.
Not yet. I would also like to remind the public that there is an Ask a Lawyer clinic, free legal advice, every third Monday from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Shreveport Bar Center, located at 625 Texas Street. So if you have any questions that you need to ask a lawyer about custody, stress, spouse, parents, financial, divorce, any of those things, there is free assistance for you. And that first one will be this Monday at 5:30. And that's it for me. Parliamentarian Bowman.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to say, since we were talking about appointments, we do have, and thank you, Commissioner Lynn, for even putting this up as well, and Commissioner Atkins as well initially. Reverend Calvin Austin here, who's been appointed. I'd like for him to stand up and just say, we just want to tell you congratulations since you're president, and we appreciate your patience as well.
I saw you shaking hands leaving out. I didn't see you come back in. Congratulations.
Is that your wife?
Pastor Austin. Yes, stand
the
up.
one with
Mrs.
the-
Austin.
Yes, let's give a hand for the wife who keeps him in order. No, she's a great woman as well. Thank you, Ms. Austin. Yes, Madam President, bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no other communiques or comments. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
I have no citizen comments for late arrivals in my hand here.
Okay. I will entertain a motion at this time.
No.
No.
Other business. Next, we have commission will convene into an executive session.
Make a motion, can I
Yes.
make a motion that the commission will convene into executive session to discuss the litigation of the two items that are listed on the agenda with our parish attorney, administrator, assistant administrator, clerk, both clerks, both attorneys. Who else do we need present? Erica, does Erica, I guess Eric, Miss Bryant?
She did.
She ready to go.
She said no, you didn't name
No.
Been here long enough.
That's my motion.
All right. It's been motioned by Commissioner Doug Dominic, and it was seconded by Commissioner Lynn Carthorne.
Yeah.
Commissioner Stephen Jackson.
Yes, I'd like to make a substitute motion that we discuss I assume it's docket number 51-148 in open session.
That dies for a lack of a second.
I'll second anything that's come in public session.
I'm sorry. You didn't get a second. I'm sorry. I see no further discussion. Please vote.
We'll move it immediately in.
I'd like to make a third substitute to recognition that Stephen Jackson and Commissioner Mike Middleton are on the same ticket.
Yeah, do that.
Mr. Bowman? Mr. Chavez?
Chavez.
Vice President.
Vote.
At the legislature.
And that passes 11-1.
Can we just go ahead and discuss
Move
that
into
now?
executive session.
We have got to clear the room.
Why couldn't we go ahead and discuss that one now, and then do the one that's going to be closed?